One of the greatest tensions in any society that we live in, micro society, a community, a neighborhood, macro society, a country, is leadership. There's always tension around leadership. Who is in charge, who wants to be in charge, who feels like they're ready to be in charge. Everywhere you look, if you look at like leadership, there's always politics around it. This week's Torah portion has, in my opinion, the paradigm of how leadership is supposed to work. The backdrop: the Jews are in the desert. They're unstoppable. They're charting towards the promised land. All the nations are getting scared. One nation has an idea. The way we're going to stop the Jews is we can get them to sin. We're going to pierce the spiritual armor. They send in their women to conduct illicit activities with parts of the Jewish people. A plague breaks out. It looks like the strategy is working. Moses tries to control it. And one of the princes of the tribes who is engaged in illicit behavior with a princess of Midian not only stops his activity, stands before Moses in front of everybody and basically creates a showdown. Can you imagine? Against Moses, showing that he's not stopping. A showdown. Can you imagine a prince going up against Moses? That's what's happening. And you know what Moses responded with? Nothing. God pulled back from his mind what to do. And in a moment in the desert, if you can imagine, a prince standing with a Midian princess, basically throwing back the rules in Moses' face, and Moses unable to respond because God pulled away, if you will, the knowledge of what to do next. Well, in the area was a man named Pinchas, Phineas. He remembered the rule that at that time, because of their heightened spiritual levels, that type of activity was in violation of the law and subject to capital punishment. He comes to Moses and says, remember the law you taught it to us. And as opposed to Moses going, oh yeah, you're right, I'm taking care of it. He goes, you thought of it? Then you go do it. And Phineas on his own goes up against the prince, kills him, ending the plague and saving the Jewish people. That's the story. And what's fascinating about the story to me is not just the whole activity of it. It's the interchange of Moses and Pinchas of Phineas. Pinchas is a relatively no name. No one knows who he is. In fact, some people are even mocking him because his lineage came from Jethro, from Yisro. Pinchas wasn't Moses. He wasn't Aaron. He wasn't a prince. And for some reason, God gave him the idea. Moses knows the whole Torah. He's the conduit. For some reason, it was taken from him. And when Pinchas comes to Moses, what he was saying is, you're in charge. This is your show. I'm not trying to outdo you. Here's advice. And Moses, being the humble leader, says, wait, God gave you this idea. You do it. And in that one brief moment, you see the paradigm of how leadership should work. You see, every one of us has a different perspective in life. And every one of us has different backgrounds, and every one of us has different inspiration that God gives us, ways of seeing the world. So we all have different ideas. We all have different approaches to problems. And as time goes on and things change, our perspective changes, and all of us have something to contribute. And the feeling sometimes when you have an idea is that the people in charge are wrong. Let's go do it ourselves. And the feeling sometimes when you're in charge and given the leadership ability is, what do they know? That's not how we've done it. And the interplay of, it's got to be new, or this is how we've done it, clashes. And I bet you in your life, you can think of examples of this left and right. And here's the place in which we see how it works. The people with new ideas, with new approaches, they're not trying to circumvent those that are working for the community, that are in charge. They're trying to be helpful. They're respecting tradition. They're working within tradition. They're trying to add, not take away. And so they're coming to the leadership and saying, here's the way to do it. And the leaders are not looking and going, what do you know? The leaders are saying, wait, I want you to be a leader too. I want to invest in you. I don't want to take it from me. I want to give it to you. The interplay of, I respect your leadership, and then I want to build you into the next leader. Phineas to Moses, Moses to Phineas. Each one respecting the other. Phineas understanding that Moses is the leader. Moses understanding that he's got to grow a generation of future leaders. That interplay, both sides giving to the other, is how leadership should work. It's the challenge of every generation, the challenge of leaders, innovators, establishment. It's not about what each of us have. It's what each of us want to contribute to the other. And when every part is pulling for the next person, everybody gets better. It's the power of being one community, multi-generational, each one respecting the other for what they bring to the picture.